Hi guys and girls, welcome back to my channel. I do hope you're doing well. Yes, you are going to see me living in this snuddy. I'm not going to lie guys, this is going to be a regular feature on this channel. I am obsessed with it, okay? I am absolutely obsessed. And I thought, you know what? I have my matching pink sippy cup. I also have a little bowl of crystallized nuts because I don't know about you guys, Mother Nature, I get snacky. And these are probably as healthy as I could find and less messy. So, welcome back to the channel, my lovelies. Today, sit down with Shan. Sit down with Shan for the month of July. And we're talking about all things women, all things women's rights. Now, with this particular video, this may trigger some people. This may be a topic people don't want to discuss. If this isn't for you, please feel free to click off, and I'm sure I will see you in another video very soon. This video, this series, the Sit Down with Shan, it's a way of people being able to express their opinions with no judgment. We do not have any judgment on this channel, okay? If there is going to be any negativity or negative Nellies, please just remove yourself. What we are saying is not fact, is not gospel. It is merely our little community coming together to say our expressions and thoughts on said topics. If you've been following the Sit Down with Shan, you will know there is not a topic that is off bars, guys. Whether it be to do with a little bit of rumpy pumpy, whether it to be do with illnesses, mental health, relationships, self-love, care, everything like that. There is never a topic that is off limits on here, okay guys? So as I say, this month is all about women's rights and all to do with things women. Like a celebration for us women, okay? So if you do want to get involved in the Sit Down with Shans, the Scandal with Shans, or the mukbangs, always have a look down on my Instagrams, guys. The lifestyle and food. Once a month I will always put on the stories there, and it'll be a little text box. Put in your comments as you wish, or send me an email, do me a DM, anything at all, because Instagram doesn't really give you a lot to go on. If you send me an email, I save you to the little database, and then when I send my emails out saying, guys, 24 hours, give us your best thoughts, that will also come to you, and everything will remain anonymous on these, okay? Please don't think I'm going to be out here calling everyone out. It all remains anonymous. We are all friends here, and it is just a way for us to have a sit down and a little chit chat. And I get to sit here, stuff my face in a big snuddy, drinking out my huge sippy cup, loving life. And I think Shan, stop rabbiting and let's get in with it, shall we? So, normally with these videos, we might swap and change positions, but I think I'm going to be quite cosy here. I'm not going to lie. I've got my nuts resting on one of my knees. I've got my iPad here. We're all good to go. Right. Let's have a look, So, one of my lovelies says, solo travelling abroad as a female gets questioned a lot. Are certain countries safe to go alone? Now, I do feel when you say, as a woman, I'm going travelling on my own, the first thing people think of is safety, which is lovely. But it almost then, I feel, can get frowned upon. And I don't know whether that is for going travelling alone or whether that is for the independence of a woman. I feel sometimes we are still in a very old-fashioned era of what women can and can't do, and to go travelling alone, travelling abroad, even going for a weekend away on your own, I feel with some age ranges could potentially be looked down upon. I myself, as we all know, the past 18 months, I've been off and about, touring around little like places in England when I do my log cabins, and then I done my big holiday last year, my first one abroad alone, to Dominican Republic. And here we are, 1st of September this year, I will be jetting off to Jamaica on my own. I do feel when people say, oh, where are you going? And you'll say, oh, Dominican Republic. And they'll say, oh, who are you going with? And I'm like, no, I'm just going on my own. And they're like, oh, well, be careful. It might not be safe for a young lady to be going travelling alone. And I'm like, you never know unless you try. When I went to the travel agent to sort out Jamaica and like do the horrible task of paying the final amount, it was like I gave them the thing and they looked at the amount, and then when they was taking the payment, they looked and they said, oh, it's just for one person. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, okay. And then it just kind of, you have that awkward, like a nod and a smile, and I just think solo traveling, like if I had my dream, right, Mama G, this is why I do not have this dream, because Mama G's like, I would be in terrible form. I just want to go backpacking. I would go hostel to hostel, backpacking around Asia, Australia. I would love to do like Indonesia. Mum has a meltdown when I tell her this, and she's just like, Shan, no. And I'm like, Mum, I will clear out my savings and I will just go backpacking. You won't see me for probably a year. I do feel backpacking, more so than just solo traveling, backpacking is an area that Mum would not feel comfortable with me going to. I feel she would be very worried, just because it's not that, it's, I never know, because I've never stayed in like hostels or B&Bs abroad, so I never know the safety of it. But sometimes when I do see backpacking vlogs, I think, oh, could I share a dorm with people I don't know? I don't know how I would be in that instance. Whereas traveling abroad, I have my own hotel room, I have my own area, I have my own like safe space, you know. But I do think there are potentially certain countries that wouldn't be safe to go to as a single solo traveller. But then again, I think there's good and bad in all countries. I wouldn't like to not go somewhere because of opinions of others. Like, a lot of people, when I tell you, when I said I was going to Dominican last year, a lot of people said to me, oh, I wouldn't go there. When I said I was going to Jamaica this year, I've had even a more worse response. People saying, I wouldn't go there if I was you. Yeah, not on your own. I wouldn't go there. It's not safe, da da da. And I just think, I take it with a pinch of salt, because my experience could be totally different to someone else who went out there, and vice versa. So I'm very much take it as it comes. If I go and I don't feel safe, I know myself what I would do. I would literally just stay in the resort. If I went out on a trip and I didn't feel safe, I wouldn't do any more trips, and I would keep myself to the hotel. I'm not reckless. I'm not silly by any means. I will gauge the situation, and if I don't feel comfortable being out there, then I will just stay within my hotel, because there is plenty of stuff to do on my hotel. That is why when I look at hotels, I like things where there's various, say, the gym, the sports, the indoor pools and the saunas and the steam rooms and activities and yogas and beach activities, so that if I did go somewhere and I thought, oh no, I'm a bit too out of my comfort zone, then I have plenty to do on the complex. So yeah, I wouldn't like to sit here and say, yes, there are bad countries to go to being a solo traveller, but I just think, do your research. That is one thing for me. I always do my research. Like, I researched Dominican, my goodness, ages, absolutely ages. And I've done my fair share of research on Jamaica as well, where to go, where not to go. Like, not necessarily where not to go, but like places where you have to be a little bit more, not concerned, but a bit more safety awareness. But I think that, again, you get that within all countries. You have the good and bad, you have the ups and downs. Like with London and England, you have ups, downs, goods, bads, everywhere like that. So I would say, if you want to go away solo traveling and people say to you, oh, I wouldn't really go there, maybe just do your own research and see how you find it. And if you think, oh no, I actually don't want to go there, that's completely your choice. But at least you've done your research. You've not just gone off of what people say, because people could say that and it could be the best time ever. I mean, I'm hoping that Jamaica tops Dominican Republic, but Dominican will always hold like a place in my heart now, I think, because that's like where I first went off on my own, and that was my first little adventure, and I loved it. Another one. Being a single mother and men get away without paying for their child. So this is a big thing that has come up within this question of, let's talking about women and women's rights. It takes two to make a baby. It takes two to tango. So for me, it takes two to share the responsibility. And that's not just saying it's always single mothers. I know there are single fathers out there as well. It is, if that choice and decision, or even if it's not a decision, if that has happened and a life has been created, there is equal responsibility there. I do not agree with the whole thing of men not supporting their children. I'm sorry, like that lady says, how they can get away with it. They shouldn't. If you have brought a child into this world, I feel both parents are equally responsible to maintain and, in essence, provide for that child until, what is it now, 18? Once you're 18 and you're an adult, do as you please. But I mean, we say that, I'm 28 and still living at home. I pay my own way, but there's still, I haven't flown the nest yet, okay? So maybe I'm still classed as a child to mum, but I don't like it. And when I hear and I read of stories where people will say, my partner went off, or they've gone and that, or they're given like a silly amount, which when you think in this day and age, the cost of living, if you've got babies, nappies, formulas, everything like that, children just in general, uniforms, sports clubs, anything like that. And I've had people who I speak with when they message me and they'll say, my partner gives me like £5 a week or £10 a week. If you've got a newborn, £5, I don't have babies, but that probably don't even buy a pack of nappies, does it? And I think there is the system, I hope, does have some sort of form where it is regulated so that parents can get equally what the child needs. That's not saying to go through the mill and be like, oh, actually, no, I want £500 a week because I want to go and get my nails done every week. I don't think that's fair. I think there needs to be reasoning and understanding and equality. And I believe that if anyone is in like that predicament of not knowing what to give or what to have, if you go on to, I think it's gov.uk, there's something there where you can work out how much child maintenance your spouse or partner should be contributing. And I think all you need to do is put in your wage and then how many children, and the system will work out. So if you do get some people, and this could be women and men who maybe want to take their partner for a ride, let's just say, and maybe put in a figure that is not true, and just to try and see how much they can get, so that this is the thing when it comes to children and support and maintenance, the parents should be irrelevant to that situation, as horrible as that sounds, because I think you need to establish what your child needs. It's not a case of if your child, you think, right, is £80 a week, that's for food, formula, appointments, anything like that. But actually, let's stick another 20 quid on there because I don't want to be short in case I want like an extra takeaway that week. No, 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 no. I think that is where it can get very temperamental and sometimes very volatile within people, because no one wants to feel like they're being taken for a piggy bank, let's just say. And I do think that them types of tools that are on like gov.uk, that is what you need, because I hear it so many times, and I've heard it growing up, when the parents fall out or they leave each other and they're like, well, I'll go to the CSA. That gov.uk will tell you what the CSA will tell you to pay. So as long as you are meeting that payment, go to the CSA. And I think it's really horrible when it gets to that point where people are lying and the CSA get involved, and because I feel that just takes what little trust is left of a relationship completely out of the window, and that's when I think it can get very toxic. So I do hope, if you are, my lovely on here, a single mother, I do hope that your man, partner, whoever is contributing their fair share to what they should do, because as I say, no one comes into the world single-handedly. It takes two to tango, and I think that way it needs to have the equal responsibility, and it shouldn't be left on one person, let me tell you that. One of us says DMs. There's a lot of DMs on here because, as I say, Instagram just doesn't give you a thing. One of my lovelies says, I think women would be safer if they didn't see feminist films where women that are 5'2" are beaten up. Now, social media, filming, photography, everything within that sector, I feel it does sexualize women. I just think, are we not past the days of when a film can be done without, say, an extra raunchy scene or anything like that? If you are looking for those types of scenes, I think there's something on the web where you can go and find that. But it seems nowadays, whether it be through paparazzi or filming or even music videos, women are sexualized, I feel, sometimes to almost just be an object and just be something to look at. So say, for example, the new Barbie movie. That, to me, is a movie about Barbie and Ken. I haven't seen the film yet. And one of the lads at work went to see it. And do you know what they come back with? there was a foot scene and oh my god, I had a foot fetish. How can you see a scene with someone's feet? I mean, don't get me wrong, if you have a foot fetish, you do you, but a film which is based upon a child's doll, how has it been sexualized to fetishes? I don't get it at all. And when you see films where, yes, there is violence against women, I don't think that helps, because in some of those films when I watch them, I'm like, no. Like, Mum always says, heaven forbid if I was to ever get kidnapped, she said they would drop you off at the next street corner, because I literally would be the worst nightmare. I would be screaming, I'd be kicking, I'd be punching, they'd want to let me go. But I feel it's always, unless you see films that are like proper, there's one I can't remember, it was with Halle Berry. And I think there's one with Jennifer Lopez as well, that are like hard-hitting, female, don't take no crap, pedal to the metal, let's get this shizzle done. They're the types of films that I think should be out there empowering. I know that there's going to be some films where it doesn't always go that way, but it does tend to be seen that women are either sexualized or are like inferior. And I don't think that, like, I'm 5'2", 5'3". I can stand my own, and I can well, I give it a good shot. I do have I'm a little bit of a rent-a-god when I start getting going, but I just think, like, everything nowadays, we want equality, we want equal rights and everything like that. But when you see, like, in terms of, say, pay grades, for example, within certain industries, a man to a woman is like, the conspiracies, no, the disparities are ridiculous. If you are doing a job, it should not matter which gender you are. But unfortunately, I think in certain areas of that, it is still seen as, well, you're a woman, so you'll get slightly less, or you're a woman, so you're going to get treated a little bit differently. Like, oh, a woman, do you want to go and make a cup of tea? Like, it's stuff like that that I think, have we not moved on in all these generations and centuries and decades? Like, have we not moved away from the fact of, oh, the kettle's on, can you go and make the tea? You know, it's things like that. And hopefully there's going to be a lot more female empowerment videos coming out. A lot of female empowerment films. I love it when I see a film and I'm like, yes, you go, girl. You go and smash it. Like, I grew up and I remember one of the first films where I was like, yes, was $1 Million Baby. Absolutely love that film. I think it's Hilary Swank, female boxer, and just, oh. They're the types of films that I think really do empower women and be like, you know what, you can go and get it. You can go and get, and you can go and be whoever you want to be in this life. And who's going to stop you, eh? If you want something that good enough, you will go out and you will get it and you will earn it, my lovelies. I am just going to quickly go change the battery, have a little snack pit with all my nuts, because I don't want to be chomping on nuts as I'm talking to you. And then we can get back in, because these are the DMs and emails. So as I say, a lot of it on this month's one was, I will send you a DM, because Instagram don't give you the space. And when I tell you some of these are to the point, they are to the point. Right, we are back. Let's have a look. One of my lovelies. So as I say, these were either emails or DMs. I think society isn't doing enough to ensure the safety of women. As a woman in South Africa, I feel really unsafe walking anywhere because sexual harassment is off the charts, and I feel like something bad will happen whether or not I respond. But also I know in so many places across the globe, other women feel the same way. Now, this is like a whole nother minefield, game, everything. I know that in England, I believe, catcalling, I feel that that has become illegal. That is like the sexual harassment of a woman, you know, like when if you're walking down the street and someone like whistles or beeps your horn or shouts out, stuff like that I do think is illegal in the UK. Correct me or not if I'm wrong. Or was there something that was going around recently where they was trying to make it illegal? Because no woman wants to be walking down the street or in a shop or anywhere and feel uncomfortable to the levels that we do sometimes. I've been there. I've been in situations where I'm like, like, help, get me out, swallow the ground up. And if a woman cannot go out in what she wants to wear, the one that it infuriates me is when a crime takes place, a certain crime, and it will be, but that's what she was wearing. No, 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 no. If men can walk around topless in the summer. Guys, when we had that little bit of heat in the UK, how many topless men did you see? I could count on both hands how many I would see on a drive home and to work. Sun's out, guns out, as they say. Do you ever think that a man gets catcalled by a woman? I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but in the grand spectrum of things, women are the ones who are normally catcalled and approached. I have never in my life seen a woman lean out of a window and shout some of the obscenities that I have seen and heard towards a man. Women, I feel we appreciate a good looking man, but we have a bit more decorum about ourselves. Unfortunately, some men have decorum and some don't. I don't see how men could genuinely think by leaning out of a window and shouting such vulgar things is going to make us turn around and be like, oh my God, he's the love of my life. That's exactly the type of man I want to take home. No. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people may like that type of attention. And I know many of my friends, we don't. I would much rather, if you was out, for a guy to come up to you, not like shouting across out of cars or streets, come up to you and be like, I think you look really lovely tonight. I'd be like, oh, thanks, mate. Not you're walking down to the gym or whatever and someone shouts out, God, look at the arse on there. You know, when you just think, no. I mean, if you carry on, mate, these legs could probably crush you because I've got quite strong legs. I mean, my upper body strength, God, if I had to punch someone, I'm getting better though in boxer size. I'm getting there, but my legs are my powerfulness. And it's like, why don't you like to see how my size 4 would look up your tush, eh? And see how good yours would look. There's just no need for it. And I have actually been seeing some of the stuff that's in South Africa, and as you say, like globally. No woman should have to feel like that when they go out, and it is that case of, as my lovely said in there, whether you respond or not, you don't feel safe. So most people would think, well, if I responded and started kicking and screaming, that'd be it. No, it might not be. That might make the person more angry towards you. So what is the point in reacting? I feel like, especially in the UK as well at the moment, where we've had such betrayals of trust from the people who are supposed to be implementing the law on certain aspects of what they've done and the crimes they've committed, you do feel as a woman sometimes, who do you actually have? Like, who can I actually say has our power and like has our corner? And I think that is why you have such female groups who will be there to stand up for each other, and women take stuff into their own hands. If the government are not doing something or something we don't feel is right, we will be protesting. And that's not to say that every little thing we protest at, but I think one that sticks commonly in my head, I feel it was it last year or maybe potentially early this year in America, when there was an act that was trying to be reinstated or something regarding abortions. And the worldwide response to that was phenomenal from women. And another one where a young girl was, we believe from what we can see in the media, like it does seem she was tragically murdered or beaten because she didn't wear a piece of clothing correctly, a hijab if I remember correctly. And the outrage in that was very powerful and very moving, because that was inclusive of religion. So it's not just politics where people get a bit annoyed at the people in charge, but this was religious with obviously the sacred clothing that they wear, and women were revoking and being like, no, this has gone on for far too long. Like, these instances cannot keep happening. And I would see the videos on TikToks and I would just think such solidarity within women all over the world. And when they say who run the world, girls, I do believe if the world was ever going to come to an end, it could be through a woman. It could be through a woman absolutely blowing her lid. Because I think when you see the videos of like female power and if there's protests or rights or anything going on, we just don't care, do we? Like Mum says, she's kind of glad we don't live nearer to London, because sometimes when I see things going on, I'm like, I would be up there, Mum. Like, you know me, I would be up there full screaming in them people's faces. And she's like, I know you would. I know you would. She says, but it's kind of better that like we're outside of it now. We're in the quiet village life, Shan. You have to remember that. And I'm like, no, always going to be a little bit of a city person. But I do feel there is such solidarity, and in instances like that, you have to be so careful. We have to have the sense of ourselves, and if we're in situations where we don't feel comfortable and we may potentially be on our own. I see the TikToks when you ask for the angel shot, which is kind of a code word to bartenders, I believe, if you're not comfortable, and you'll ask for an angel shot and they'll say like, oh, what's the matter? And you might say, the guy in the red shirt won't leave me alone, or something like that. It's kind of like code words, and there's a lot of code words that I feel women have to have. If say you're walking down a street and you feel you're being followed, the amount of times I hear people will just randomly go up to someone and be like, hi, how are you, la la la, and if they're feeling, they're like, someone's following me, can you pretend that you know me? But we shouldn't have to do that, and I'm not saying it's just women that do that. Please don't think that this video is just about women and we're bashing the men. It happens on both genders, but normally the cases that you hear of are unfortunately women, and it can be the instance of people walking home on a night out or taking a shortcut, and you think, is that shortcut worth it? There are so many atrocities in the world and just vile people that there does need to be something. I feel in schools, every child, male and female, should be taught self-defense. Sod off this trampolining, stuff like that, and gymnastics. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you love to do that, I didn't mind a bit of gymnastics in my day, but I feel there needs to be more protective skills, almost life survival skills. I feel self-defense, I feel martial arts should be an option, I feel potentially boxing should be an option. We need to be able to protect ourselves, and if we did, maybe some of the incidences that have occurred over the years wouldn't have happened, because we might have actually been trained to try and protect ourselves to a level that we need to. In this life, we need to, I'm afraid. But my inbox is always open for you, my lovely, and it shouldn't be that way, should it? It should not be that way at all. Let's have a look. So another one. Women's rights are being put on the back burner by such a tiny majority of people so they don't feel offended. We're pandering to a minority of people and totally disregarding women's rights and place in the world and leaving them totally vulnerable and disrespected. The woke mob have gone too far for the sake of people pleasing and box ticking, and they won't stop until the meaning of what it means to be a woman is totally eradicated. In my opinion, it's disgusting. This, I 1000% agree with this comment, and this is a very close friend of mine, and we're always putting the world to rights, but this is the part where I wouldn't say I'm a feminist by any means, but I do think women and men are different for so many reasons. Men are different for their reasons, women are different for ours. But this is the whole thing, a minority is changing such grand scheme of things for the majority. A minority of people are now in essence trying to rewrite and dictate what it means to be a woman. Terminologies are being changed. I heard someone the other day and they said, oh yeah, we've been told we can't say we're breastfeeding or like mother and child. It's parent and child. So if you're not breastfeeding, what are you doing? You're child feeding. Okay. Because it might offend people who cannot genetically do that and are wanting to. So how about women who are born women who cannot conceive? They don't get treated any differently. We are all in the same boat within our gender. So this is a comment that I feel I'm going to get heated on. So I need to get myself comfy here. I'm even eyeing up a chocolate bar here. I do not care what gender you are, what race you are. If you are happy, you do you. What I don't like is when you try and put others down to make your status more superior. I.e., a woman cannot say she's breastfeeding. A woman cannot be in a mother and child unit. It's a parent unit. Women who, I think there was one, I can't remember, when did I see it? I feel it was a few months back. There's been this big controversy, I think, around big brands using people who are transitioning, for example. And it's caused a lot of controversy because people feel it's almost making a mockery of females and the female gender. I draw the line when I read a comment and they said that a woman is just an egg carrier. And that's it. There's no maternal, it's just an egg carrier. I think the statement I read was, when speaking and asked about the female, I think it was like the female birthing or pregnancy. And it was like, it is just an egg carrier. No, because that egg carrier is what brought you into the world, darling, okay? And I think we don't have a lot in this world. Put it right or wrong, that may just be my opinion. I don't think women have a lot in this world. And to be a mother is one thing that is purely for a woman. A man can be a father. You do your business, good to go. The woman is the carrier for 9 months, who feeds that baby in essence through herself, who protects that baby in her body, gives the baby the home for 9 months. For someone to just come along and be almost like you're a carrier, like you're carrying your Tesco shopping, I think is disgusting. And when I see comments like that, that is what rolls me up, because I think, no, you are all for having your own opinion, and if you feel you're not you in your body and you need to change, that's perfectly up to you. But do not put down people who are born into that body to try and make it seem like, well, you're nothing special, you're just a carrier. No, absolutely not. And I say that as someone who isn't really maternal. Will I ever have kids? I can't see it, to be honest, but I still get offended by that, because I think if I chose to have that, you're almost trying to diminish a woman's right to have a child. And trust me, I would not have anyone tell me I'm not the mother of my child and just tell me I'm a parent of my child, because I'd be like, well, I am the parent of a lovely right hook as well. Would you like to meet them? You know, I don't feel that that is the path we need to be going down. And it is like this when they say in here, it's people pleasing and box ticking. Does it tick the box? Yeah. Is it gonna? No. Another thing that within like terms of this with the woke mob, as we say, at work, we have several other names for these groups of people, and it's like, for example, you know, the oil protesters. We're not going to go off tangent here, but you have your reasons, you have your cause. Fabulous. Just tackle it to the people that can actually make the change, okay? Do not do it where you are stopping people trying to get to work, hospital appointments. You're stopping emergency vehicles responding to incidences. And then when I see videos of normal people who get a bit irate and start to move them out the street, and then the police go to them people, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? If ever a day I get stopped in my car, you will see, you'll be like, oh my God, that's AllThingsShannon. I will be getting them people out the road, because I think if you have a cause and you have your voice, you're peeing people off the wrong way. I saw something last night, and a group of the oil protesters was surrounded by members of the public, I believe, with shirts that said, just stop pissing people off. I thought that was genius. That's something I would do. That is something that I would do, because I just think you're affecting the normal people. We can't change the rules in Parliament, so why are you coming for us? And are you, when you're late for work and they say you're not getting paid, is your mortgage provider going to be like, that's all right, take the day off because of the protesters? No, they're not. I feel everyone will have a cause in this world, okay? Everyone has a purpose. Everyone has something that they're very passionate about. How they go about it and how it's dealt with, I think that is the way where things can get misconstrued. Me personally, I've seen videos of the oil protesters in other countries, and how their police force deals with them is how I would deal with them. Our police force, there is mockeries of videos online that's sitting down having a cup of tea with them. No. And then it's the general public that are the ones that get in trouble. And you just think, what on earth is happening? But I do agree with you, my lovely. It is a minority that is, unfortunately, I feel it will become that for the majority. And I would never have anyone undermine the female gender or try and diminish me as a woman, because I just think no, you're not doing it to me. And I hope there's going to be a lot of other females that have the same opinion, where you think, no, this is who I am and this is my life. Right, here we go. Get comfy, because I say these DMs, they're good long ones. Let's have a look. One of my lovelies says, in reply to your story about being a woman, I feel that we are looked so down upon by men, and I honestly think it comes naturally to them. This is where I think, you know, when I say like the old-fashioned mentality, it is instilled that men sometimes feel they are superior in all ways of life. I'm trained as a biomedical scientist. Wow. Amazing. And have worked in numerous labs, and in every lab I've worked in, women are like second-class citizens. This is what infuriates me. Like with the pay grade, if you have trained and you're in a profession and you have the same grades as a man, why is it any different? You both have the same grades. That's all that matters. That's all that should matter. I realise I'm doing a lot with my hands, because when I get agitated I talk with my hands, but I don't see why. If I come up with an idea, it gets brushed under the carpet. However, if a male employee came up with the same idea, they'd be praised and the idea would be implemented. It's so annoying. Why? This is the thing. It should not matter. And this is when I think sometimes, is society ever going to change? As much as we say we're moving forward and equal rights and la-di-da-da, is it ever going to change? Is it ever going to get to the point where a woman can stand up in a room and her voice will be heard the same as a man's? I don't know. I hope so. I mean, that is probably why, if I'm a little bit heated, no one has the last word, and I will raise my voice louder and louder, because I feel like we do have to stand up. We do have to stand up for ourselves. If you remember when was it? Was it April, May? Me and my friend went to see Rob Beckett, and we was verbally abused by a guy on the train, and because we stood there and we actually answered back and didn't just stand there like his friend, who was a female done, who was just kind of like, we stood up and said what we thought, we got swilled with a bottle of water at the end of the night. What, just for standing up? So you think you can be so rude and disrespectful to two young ladies you've never met? You might speak to your friend like that and she might take that, but guess what? Me and my friend, we're quite vocal women, and we didn't take that. Yes, we got a bottle of water in the face, but hey-ho. I think with that instance, he didn't like the fact we responded. If we'd have just stood there like his friend and been like, no, you're not going to comment on my figure and my appearance and my friends and expect us to just stand there. And I get it's so annoying. It is so annoying. Men, it's almost like in certain areas, a woman could be the genius, right? Disregarded, as you say. The man will say one thing and it'd be like, oh my god, Nobel Prize Award. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not the same. And in regards to safety, we just aren't safe. Every time I'm walking alone, even in broad daylight, I carry my keys between my fingers just in case. Now, I don't get the keys in the finger thing. I've never carried any like that, but I get it like this. I have my alarms, if you remember from TikTok, which is the pin alarm. I have the whistle and everything like that. Do I carry them? No, I'm not going to lie. I should do. When I go out on my own though, I will always make sure I have my phone, and I hold my phone in a certain way so that if I need to, I can bash someone with my phone. If I go out with headphones, I'm very aware of my surroundings. I won't have my music pounding. If it's a headphone where I can't have one in and one out and I have two, I will always move one of the pads behind my ears so that I can still keep out. We have to think of everything and anything, and as you say, even in broad daylight. Because you never know. You actually never know. The world shouldn't be like this. Forever feeling vulnerable and looking over your shoulder is not the one. Sending lots of love and keep up with the fab content. You make my day. Mwah! Lots of love back, my lovelies. But yeah, it shouldn't be that constant. You know how I describe it is, if say a woman goes out just to the shop, for example, you're walking, you see a group of men you've never seen before in your life. They could be teenagers. And instantly, in my head, it's like, dun 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 dun, like Jaws. And as you get closer and closer, it's the dun 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 dun. And then as you pass, it's the dun. And then it goes, you pass each other's ways. But I don't know why, whenever I pass, if I see people coming towards me and I really don't like the look of them, I will cross the road. If I can't cross the road or it's not an instant like that, as soon as I pass, I give it a few seconds and I'll always turn around and check. And then I'll go a few more steps and I'll check again. Or I might like stop and pretend I'm doing something on my phone or with my handbag. It is about being aware of your surroundings. It's about being aware of who is there, what potentially could be there. And that for me is terrible because I'm the biggest overthinker. I will literally overthink any situation. Could be a casual walking down the street, see a guy and I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to get kidnapped. That's not a great way of thinking, and I have to try and train my mind out of it. But you do always have to be aware of your surroundings. You are always looking over your shoulder, I feel, as a woman. And it's just, there needs to be something. And I think if things like self-defense and martial arts was instilled at school, women would feel a lot more comfortable going abroad. Not going abroad, going away. But then furthermore, travelling abroad. I would say I felt safer in Dominican Republic than I would do walking around London. And you think, how? How can that even be possible? I always remember when I went to Malia, me and my cousin, and I felt safer in a club there than I would do in my local town. I got given a panic button. I was sat by the window. There were security guards around me. Like, you don't have that here. And I think that is, maybe that's the thing that they need to instill and look at from other countries. Because I don't know about you guys, something needs to change. And I think this is a reason why I'm not really maternal, because if I was to have a daughter, oh my god. Right. You're thinking, Shan, we ain't jumped away in different positions today. I'm quite comfy. I've got my dog behind me head. We're getting ready to go. Right. Another one. Hello, my lovely. It's getting ridiculous what's going in the world. I am a woman, a mother, and a wife. Not a CIS woman or a birth giver. That was it, a birth giver. I thought it was a carrier. It's a giver. That, I think, is just... For someone to say you're a carrier or a birth giver, how? How is that even politically or morally acceptable to call a gender that? Please enlighten me, because I can't get my head around it. And there are only two genders you're born. Boy or girl. Nothing else. Unless you're born with both male and female parts, which is such a low percentage, all these 70-something genders. Now, I'm not going to lie. This could be controversial. I do not understand all the genders, okay? For me personally, you are male or female. You can identify with whatever you want to, but for me personally, so you can tell me your gender, you can tell me your experiences or who you identify as, good for you. I'm never going to say to you, well, I don't believe that. You do you, and I appreciate that, but in my mind, there's only male or female. If you are someone who is wanting to transition to another gender, that's absolutely fine. I don't understand. I think now, was there something with Piers Morgan? There's like over 100 genders. Actually, let's Google this. We're going to have a little bit of a Google session as well. How many genders are there? Because I feel this is a very controversial subject. Oh, here we are. How many genders are there? Until recently, our society has only acknowledged two genders, male and female. But this has never been true. Many cultures and societies embrace the knowledge that there are sometimes 3 or 4 genders. Right, what is... Okay, so this was published on the 7th of December 2022 and it was updated on the 22nd of May 2023. There are, how many genders are there? 107 genders. Wow. Okay. Oh my goodness. So, I didn't realise that if you're transgendering, that is classed as a gender. I thought that was maybe not classed because it's kind of a transitional period, but there is, wow, 1, 2, 3, 19 different versions of trans something within the gender identification. Wow. Some of these I can't even pronounce. Some of them, what on earth would they mean? Right, so just for example, I've heard of some of these. Agender, which is someone who does not relate to any identity. Okay. Then you have ones... Ambisexual, so this is more about your preferences, referring to a person who has an ambivalent or changing sexual orientation. As Linda LaHughes would say, it's greedy. That to me I thought was bisexual. Clearly, this would baffle me if I was in school now and they was teaching me this. Asexual person, a person who feels very little or no sexual desire. Maybe they're just tired. Like, how? This is so confusing for younger people. This is just... The terminology for biological sex, the person's biological status at birth. I can't, this is... Guys, this is a minefield. 107 genders. I'm sorry if this is going to offend people. I do believe there is male and female. If you are transitioning, I didn't realise that that was a gender because I feel like you're transitioning to one or the other. If you don't identify as any gender, does that mean then you can identify as anything? So I could identify as a Barbie Snuddy or a unicorn. It's just, where is it going to stop? I just feel, where is it going to stop? I love being a woman, and I love the word woman, especially mother. It's such a blessing. See, this is the thing that I'm saying. Women, we're all born with our parts. Whether we can use them parts to create another life is a different thing. If we can't, we don't get like special treatments or anything like that. Yet someone who is, say, transitioning to become a woman will be inundated with, it's okay, da da da. But you try to then diminish against an actual woman at birth who is not able to do that. That is what I don't agree with. And to be a mother, it is a blessing, as I say. Just because I don't have that maternal instinct for me to have my own kids, that doesn't mean I don't have a maternal instinct with my friends' children, cousins' children, pets. Oh my god, animals. I'm like the animal kingdom mother here. Over here in Ireland, it's getting out of hand with what's going on. Putting tampon machines in men's toilets and allowing biological males into the woman's bathrooms. That, I'm sorry, is where I will draw the line. That's one thing I do not agree with, is the unisex toilet. They tried to implement it at my workplace and I was like, you know what, we don't have a lot. There's very few women in my industry where I work. Let us just have our own goddamn toilet. That, for me, is now borderlining safety issues, because you may get people who aren't transitioning, a male who will maybe jump on that bandwagon and use it as a way to create such atrocities. And then will society and the people in power have your back to protect you? No. I think it's disgusting. I was reading on, what do I even call them? Predators, let's just say, that committed a crime as a man but are now saying that they identified as a woman and want to go in a female prison to get a lesser sentence, and for what they've done wasn't the crime they've been convicted of, because it was same-sex. It's just like, no, stuff like this should not be condoned to. If you commit a crime, you commit that crime. Don't be trying to use a cop-out because you think you're going to get a lesser sentence. And this whole thing with the bathrooms, I feel this is very worrying, because if this starts getting implemented in school, I wouldn't like to know what could happen in schools. And I feel a lot of that would actually cause parents to potentially remove the children from school and homeschool. Because if I was a parent, I would not be comfortable with either, if I had a boy or a girl, sharing same toilets. It's different because people say, yeah, but you share the same toilets at home. That's a safe environment. You don't know. Schools aren't always the safest environment. You don't know what goes on. No, I'm with you there. It's a joke because we are the problem, because we have a problem with wanting our children to be safe. I get it. I'm sorry, be who you want, but don't push it on other people. I want to be called a they or them or whatever the hell. Sorry, rant over. Again, I will call you whatever you want to. If you want to identify as a they, them, him, her, anything like that. But don't try and push it on me. And the thing that really aggravates me is we live in a country where everyone has their terminology, don't they? All areas, north, east, south, west, we have our own terminology, we have our slang. And it'll be like, all right, love, all right, darling. That is just how people talk. All right, duck, you all right, love? How it is. When people get offended and go to such outrages that, oh my God, you're being transphobic, I don't. Whoa, 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 whoa. If you're going to get that offended, don't go out in public, which probably is actually not a really nice thing to say. But I saw a video of a lady in a Starbucks, and I can't remember because I didn't gauge the full thing, but there was something that happened, and I think she said to someone love or something, and that person was really offended because they didn't identify as someone who would be called that terminology, and they went on an absolute outrage and started screaming at this poor woman. And when they saw that someone was filming, got actually quite abusive to the person as well. Why? If you cannot take a comment or like a term of endearment or just a general saying like, hi mate, is probably someone's equivalent of saying, I love, you're right, da 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 da, then I'm sorry, you should not be out in public if you're going to be that easily offended, because you are making mountains out of molehills. Sorry, that is my opinion. I just think there's so much, it just seems, I feel, as just like with the woke communities, that everyone wants to be offended by everything. There is never a day when someone isn't offended by something, and it really does freaking annoy me, I'm not gonna lie. Another one of my lovelies says, hi Shan, this is a topic that I feel crops up in my everyday life. I am 36, married, and have 2 young sons. Since I've become a mum, I feel like my outlook on life has changed, and I am incredibly wary of doing anything that might put mine or my sons' lives in danger. For example, I desperately want to get back into fitness, but I point blank refuse to go out my own for a run, which is what I always used to do. As I'm scared in case anything happens to me, I'm constantly reminded of the Sarah Everard case. That was a case, if you're not from the UK, where a policeman, a man in power, abused his power, and if you Google the name, or I'm pretty much sure you would have heard of it, he abused his power, and this is why I feel as women we do not trust the police. We do not trust the police, and going on runs on their own, that is something we should be able to do without having to carry keys and torches and sprays and everything like that for our own safety, you know. My husband keeps telling me to just get out and go on the run or go on my own to the shop, and I can't face it because my anxiety gets in the way due to women being targeted so much, and my mind starts thinking of the scenarios. It's horrible to live like this, but I don't feel like much has changed, unfortunately. Take care, Shan. Lots of love. Mwah, lots of love too. And this is where I know men will have all good intentions, majority of them, where they'll say, go on love, just pop to the shops. But I don't feel a man will ever know the true, not panics, but just the sheer things that a woman has to put in place that goes through her head just to walk down the shop. The amount that it's not like, oh, have I got me keys, have I got my phone? It's, have I got me keys, have I got me phone, am I wearing suitable stuff, like, am I able to like run in the footwear? Did the door just go? Someone at my door? I don't know. Should I go check? I'll go check and be right back. Someone at the door. It was our little local religious group popping around with our little leaflets. I'm not religious, but I'm not going to open the door and be like, no. I stand there, I listened to him, we had a little bit of a chat, and he said, if you'd like to just go and look at the website. I said, anytime. This is what I mean. You can't, I don't care, race, religion, gender, whatever, but there's different ways of trying to put your point across. And I think, like, bless him, they were such a lovely little couple, and I was saying, like, not being funny, mate, I'm not religious, like, I think if there was a God in the world, stuff like this wouldn't happen. And he said, but the bigger scheme and all that. I mean, I'll listen to your opinions and you listen to mine. There's a thing called mutual respect. When there's not the respect, no. Anyway, before I backtracked and was like, is someone there? Because I'm thinking I'm waiting for a password today. And I'm thinking, oh, if I didn't go, then they're going to go off and say I weren't here, and I am here. But anyway, yeah, I feel as a woman, there is so much that goes through our mind going out. And even for me, so if you're at a bus stop, for example, if a man comes to the bus stop and sits down, I will always move over a bit. If I'm on a bus and I don't feel particularly comfortable with people around me, I will put my bag on the seat to make it like I don't really want anyone sitting next to me. If you're, say, going on a night out, you're constantly, I always used to find, I haven't really been on many nights out, but when I did, I could never relax because I was constantly screening the room and like not clocking people, but like just trying to be aware of the situation. And then you don't enjoy yourself, do you? So I do feel that unfortunately they could never understand what it is like. And there's so many videos, and I think it's good it gets brought up in quite a few of the weeknight soaps. Mum tells me bits and bobs that go on with the female casting. And I think that's sometimes the only way to try and get points across, which it's not the best way, and it shouldn't be like that, but unfortunately that is how it is. And then I will end on this one from my lovely, oh, they say, hi darling, I hope you're having a lovely weekend. Thank you, I hope you are too. Lately I don't feel safe as a plus size woman working late nights, as I get catcalled, and not in a good way. Walking out of work to get to my car makes me feel so on the radar that I'd ask a colleague to walk with me to the car. So I decided to get my big girl knickers back on and do something about it. I bought a safety self-defense keychain, and it's made me feel 10 times safer. These are the keychains that I talk about in TikTok, and I'll actually link some down below because I think you can get them off Amazon and everything like that. They are like, there's literally tons of bits and bobs on there. I've customized and took off what I needed for my keys, but this is like stuff that has been designed to try and help women feel a bit safer. I pass the little dodgy groups of men and I make my keychain jingle a bit as I'm walking. The men looked at it once and never bothered me ever again. The catcalling rules in Essex are being taken a lot more seriously now, with posters put on streets, etc. But we've still got a long way to go. Love you loads of love. That's where I thought I heard it, with the catcalling getting taken seriously. I didn't realise it was just a county. Maybe it's not the UK, maybe it is towards Essex. But that's the thing, I think you have to, in essence, you have to wing it and you have to blag it, that if you don't have anything on you, but you have to make it sound like you do, like whether that be like jangling your keys around, so they're like, okay, she's got keys on her, whether you have like flinging a whistle or something, or like a little keychain. It's something that you have to do almost to make a deterrent to people, and you have to have it so that people kind of know not to, oh, not gonna go there, you know, like, but it shouldn't have to be like that. It really shouldn't have to be like that. And I don't like catcalling. I don't like catcalling if it's abusive or offensive. I just think it's absolutely disgusting, and something on that does need to be done, mainly not just in Essex, I think all over the UK and potentially worldwide. There's no need for it. There really is no need for it. And I do agree we have a long way to go as women. Unfortunately, this is the bodies that we were born in, and if we stay in it, we've got a long way to go. Even if we aren't and you're coming over to be a female in essence, there is stuff that you're going to have to take on board. Our gender, I feel, is the hardened one out of the two, because we have to have the biggest resilience, I think, to what goes on in the world and that. But guys, I think this has been a very controversial one, don't you? As I say, please don't get offended or start coming for hate. This is just all of our opinion, where we all have a little catch up, and I now cannot wait to think of what for next month. So my lovelies, sit down with Shan. 4th July is done and dusted. Any topics for next month? What can you think of, guys? Let me know down below, or drop me an email or a DM on the Instagrams, because I actually have a list of sit down with Shan topics, whether they be my ideas, your ideas that you guys send in, because as I say, this is our channel here, so I want us to discuss everything that we all want to talk about, okay? But I don't want to sit and ribbit rabbit, because I have a feeling this is going to be a long video. Guys, if you did enjoy the video, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe down below, and as I say, leave me a comment. What do you think on this month's topic? Have you had any experiences? Are there things that you would like to see changed, implemented along the road? How are your thoughts on same-sex toilets, the catcalling, everything like that? But yes, take care, stay safe as always, and I'll see you in the next one, whatever that may be. It's going to be a surprise for all of us. Bye, guys.